Alright, today on the bench we've got the new Arrma Outcast 4S. This is the V2 version, it's just been recently released. Obviously this is in the blue version, it comes in like a browny gold colour as well. This is the blue version. Body itself hasn't changed, I think, at all from the original versions, which I like because I really like the look of this body. It does have the roll cage on it, just like the 8S version. It's got the screws up on the top here that will protect the plastic a little bit more when you're upside down and sliding along like a hard surface, like bitumen or concrete. Same on the back of the wing here, they've got the screws here as well. Wing's quite flexible. It is a plastic wing, but it's quite flexible. They do have the D-Boots backflip tyres. I like them. They're quite soft. They're very grippy. They handle well. If you run this on 4S and you're getting the front wheels or the rear wheels or any of the wheels sort of off the ground wheeling and stuff, and you give it full power, these can easily expand quite a bit and they can tear and rip the tyres out. So that's something to be careful of. Being such a soft tyre and not belted or anything, they expand quite a bit, and that can be a problem if you're not careful. You can see down here the tyres, they are ventilated. They've got a hole in the rubber themselves, which is good. It lets out water and sand and dirt and stuff from inside the tyres. Large hexes, good size. Overall, I really like these wheels and tyres. I think they're quite good. They suit the vehicle very well. Being soft and expanding the way they do very well. They're very good to control the vehicle in the air. Very easy to do backflips and stuff, hence I guess the name of the tyres. But yeah, they're great for doing tricks in the air, this being a stunt truck and all. Body itself, Lexan body, similar to most other Arrma vehicles. It is a very thin body, I think. Not very thick at all. It feels like it's not going to be the most durable thing on the planet. You can see the roll cage. Unlike the 8S version, it doesn't go underneath the roof here. It's just on this back part here, secured on the inside with those little plastic bits. I will drywall, tape and shoe glue this body to strengthen it like I do with all my bashes. But yeah, I think it is quite a thin body overall. Go onto the chassis here. You can see on the 4S version, they do have quite large shocks on these, quite thick diameter. That's an upgrade from the older model. On top of the shock tower there here, this doesn't normally come on here. It's just, I've put a bit of a sticky foam on here because I've noticed from other people's running videos when the body sits on here, the shock towers, because these are so flexible, you can see how much flex these have. When you're crashing the vehicle, landing hard upside down and stuff, the body will flex these posts down and actually hit on the top of the shock towers, which is denting in here in the bonnet. So I've just put a bit of this foam here just to try and help that a little bit. And once I drywall, tape and shoe glue the body, that should definitely strengthen that area and stop it from being as damaged as much when you're jumping hard and landing wrong. Huge drive shafts on the front here. All this has been upgraded and beefed up from the older models. Hopefully it's going to strengthen it all. Don't know if you can see down inside here, but they do have sway bars on the front and the back of this. The arms on them, quite strong, quite beefy looking. They are basically a solid arm. Hopefully that's going to improve the way that this thing handles and the strength of it. That little hole you can see down the middle of the arm there, it's just to let water out if water's pooling in the top of it. Plastic chassis on these. Now I've seen a lot of people are breaking the chassis on these. I'm still a fan of plastic chassis, honestly, in my opinion, because they are cheaper than an alloy chassis, and generally they do hold up quite well. Alloy chassis can bend quite easy and they cost a lot more to replace, so I kind of prefer plastic chassis. I haven't run this one yet, so the jury's out on that, but I know people have been breaking them. But it's like all RCs, it's how you run them, where you run them, what you do with them. I'm not really think I'm going to have too much of a problem, because I'm not going to absolutely go out and go crazy with this and destroy it. On the back of it, same deal. Quite large shocks. They're quite a big diameter shock on this. The shock shaft's quite thick. Turnbuckles and everything on this look quite big. The drive shafts, they are plastic drive shafts, but they're quite beefy. They do have metal ends on them. You can see in the back it also does have the sway bars. Wheelie bar at the back up here underneath the rear wing, just like the 8S version. Feels like they are on bearings. Rear of the vehicle. I did note, if I just turn this around, you can see just by looking down, I haven't adjusted any of this, but the rear wheels, they're quite canted. They're running quite a bit of toe in, and they are cambered a fair bit as well. Just from the factory, that's just the way they got it set up. It's hard to get the right angle on the camera to show you what I mean, but the wheels definitely aren't square the way they've got them running. Now, obviously, you can adjust some of that by moving these, which I probably will do. But yeah, it's just an observation out of the box what it looked like on mine. Quite a large truck. Does have quite a bit of ground clearance. You can see it's quite a fair way off. If I push the truck all the way down, that is the shocks completely compressed pretty much. It will completely bottom out the chassis, so this truck can bottom out. I noticed the shock setup from the factory seems to be a little softer in the rear, and the rebound is not as much in the rear. Definitely the front is different to the rear. You can adjust the shocks, but it's not with the normal wind down collars. You actually got to put preload spacers in these. It is running a bit more on the back to what it's running on the front by the look of it. No, actually, sorry. That is one as well. So, yeah, I'll play around with the shock tuning. I haven't looked into it too much yet. On the inside, the battery mount system on this, it does run a single battery. You can run two 2S batteries in it, so I guess you can run dual batteries in it on top of each other, but most people are going to run this on single battery packs, like a single 3S or a single 4S. It does have your dual battery leads. These are IC5 connectors, and they do have the loop if you're going to run the single battery pack, which I most likely will be. On the inside, they do have this top chassis brace up here. This new system that they put in here, it's got almost like a bit of a shock absorber system on it. So it allows this to flex a little bit more. I haven't tried it out. I don't know what it's like, but that's part of the new upgrade. The battery box in here, it is the normal Arrma Velcro system like you see on a lot of their vehicles. Plastic drive shaft with the bearing support in the middle to stop this from vibrating. Lots of their vehicles have these plastic drive shafts. I haven't had any problems with them at all. They've always worked really good for me. You can see these shock towers are actually quite a beefy, thick setup, so I think they're going to be quite strong. We'll find out. It does have your Spectrum power system in here, like all new Arrma setups. It is the 2400 kV motor, 4S capable. It does come with a heatsink and fan on it. Here's your Spectrum firmer ESC in here as well. I think this might be the 130 amp ESC. Spectrum servo as well. And it does come on their system where it's all mounted on the one box. So you undo a couple of screws from underneath and these will come out in one part. The servo and the ESC, and your receiver is also under there as well, all mounted together. Same within the rear in here. They do mount the power system and stuff on this so-called quick release system. You undo a couple of screws on the back, flick this little lever on the side here, and the motor comes straight out. But all this is exactly how it comes from the factory. I haven't changed anything apart from just putting this on, and I will be shoe gooing and drywall taping it. As I was showing on the front, these are your body mounts. They are quite flexible. I'm not putting too much pressure on this at all, and they're flexing quite a bit, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's good because it absorbs the shock and it will flex a bit rather than snapping, but it also lets your body come down and hit parts of your car quite easily. me personally, I'd prefer them to be a bit flexible like this and absorb some of the impact and not snap. Like I said, I'll be probably running this on 3 and 4S. I'll try it on both, see what I prefer. A lot of the time I don't run vehicles on their max like battery that you can run on them. Obviously more power, but it also a lot more heat, a lot more pressure on the vehicles, and I tend not to push mine to the absolute extreme because I like the longevity out of them. But I will try it on 3 and 4 and see what I like the performance best on. A lot of the time things perform, you know, on this one, if you run it on 3S, you'll probably find it's going to perform quite well on 3S as well. It will just be a lot more extreme and sort of out of control on 4S. But I will try both and see what I think, and I'll use whatever I want to use on it. If I prefer the 4S, that's what I'll run. But often, in most of my vehicles I've found, I normally just run it a little bit under and seem to last a lot longer, don't get as much heat in the vehicle, and yeah, just a bit more longevity. That's just my personal opinion anyway. I'll put the body back on. Gee, I notice a big difference picking this up compared to the 8S version, how much thinner this body is. But a bit of drywall tape and shoe glue will fix that problem. But yeah, it's quite a nice looking truck. You can see they've got the typical Arrma body pin retainers, which I really like because you're not trying to find body pins on the ground. Got like these wood look decals, non-clear windows like Arrma always does, but they do put not a bad looking decal on them, so it kind of looks like there's a bit of a window net and roll cage and stuff through the inside, so not too bad. If you're not going to have clear windows, that's probably your best option. Quite a nice looking blue on this. You can see the vehicle does have quite a wide stance. It's hard to tell the scale, but it's quite wide, quite thick, quite beefy. I think it's going to be quite a strong truck, to be honest. I'm very keen to get out and run this one. But yeah, this is just a quick look of the new Arrma Outcast 4S. This is the V2 newly released version. I think it's quite cool. It's definitely, yeah, Arrma's making some nice trucks these days. I'm quite impressed. I'm very happy with all their new stuff. Can't wait to get out and run this one. I might make a video comparing this to the 8S version as well, just to show the size differences. And some of the differences between the trucks, because they are a similar looking truck, just a lot different in size. So I might make a video about that. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that, and just let me know in the comments if you've got one of these, if you're loving it, if you're having any dramas, what you think of it. Just let me know in the comments, and I might make some more videos about this in the future. Just let me know if you want to see anything. I'll see you on the next video.